Imagine waking up and you no longer exist in the eyes of law. No ID, no passport, and even no right to work. For the Rohingya, this isn't just a tragedy. It's a political issue rooted in power-based interactions. This is not a law. This is an analysis of how power defines who belongs and who is cast out. Our first actor is the Myanmar military government. To understand the crisis, we must look at their use of power. In the year 1982, they implemented a citizenship law that effectively stripped the Rohingya of their legal identity. This is hard power in its most absolute form. By controlling the legal definition of what a citizen is, the government exercised power to perform an administrative erasure of an entire ethnic group. This isn't just a bad situation. It is a structured use of power to influence the demographic and political landscape of the nation. The Rohingya become the primary stakeholders here, the ones whose lives are most impacted by a power that they do not hold. Now, why did they leave? Because when a state uses its power to deny your healthcare, education, and even safety, the internal crisis becomes extreme. They are not just moving, they are being displaced by a system that has made their existence illegal. With no legal documents and no state protection, they turn to the only path left, the sea. They board overcrowded, rickety wooden boats, crossing the Bay of Bengal and the Andaman Sea. They aren't just crossing borders. They are escaping a vacuum of power where they have been rendered invisible. Their destination? Anywhere. As long as they offer the human rights that their own country's power structure has taken away.
Ah, when the first boats arrived, the power dynamic was simple. It was the provider versus the survivor. The local Acehnese, acting as primary actors, exercised their humanitarian power to provide food, clothing, and shelter. At this stage, the stakeholders, including local government and religious leaders, were aligned in the mission of Pemulia Jame, or honoring the guest. But power-based interactions are never static. By late 2023 and into 2024, the narrative shifted. We began to see reports of friction. Locals reported issues with camp cleanliness, refugees failing to respect cultural norms. Following a structured analysis, we shouldn't just say behavior is bad. Instead, we analyze this is as a clash of stakeholders. The local community, as a stakeholder, feels their social and cultural power is being undermined by a group that does not share their norms. Meanwhile, the refugees, trapped in a system with no long certainty, lose the social power to integrate effectively. This creates a vacuum where empathy is replaced by resentment.
When a crisis reaches a certain scale, it moves from the shores to the halls of government. The Indonesian government, as a central actor, is forced to recognize the significant impact of the Rohingya influx. In this stage, the government is not just reacting, they are managing a delicate balance of power between humanitarian obligations and domestic stability. This is where policy meets the real world. To address this situation, the government has taken action by facilitating temporary shelters and providing humanitarian aid. However, they are not acting alone. Key international actors, specifically the IOM, International Organization for Migration, and UNHCR, play a vital role in managing the day-to-day survival of the refugees. In a structured explanation, we must look at how power is exercised here. While the government provides physical space, they also control the messaging by framing the refugees as a temporary issue. the government exercises its power to manage the expectations of the society, a primary stakeholder in this political issue. This control over the narrative is crucial to prevent widespread social unrest or misinformation. The outcome of this intervention is a state of controlled limbo. The government has the power to grant or deny access to the country's resources. By utilizing international organizations, they effectively outsource the humanitarian burden while maintaining their sovereign power. Following our analytical criteria, we see that while the government maintains order, the refugees are often disadvantaged by the lack of a permanent legal status. They are caught between the power of the state to protect its borders and the power of international agencies to provide basic human rights. This scene shows that in politics, intervention is often as much about maintaining authority as it is about providing aid.
So let's synthesize this chaos. If politics is a game where power-based interactions, then this Rohingya crisis is a game where the rules are rigged from the start. So the power chain, and it starts from Myanmar, the primary actor. They used legal power or the 1982 law to perform what is called as an administrative erasure. This power didn't just stay in Myanmar, but it traveled across the ocean. And by stripping a group of their identity, Myanmar effectively exported the internal crisis to neighbors like Indonesia. This is the ultimate display of hard power, the ability to make your problem someone else's reality. And now, who benefits from this? Now first, the who benefits is the Myanmar military. They achieved their goal of a ethnically united state by removing a group they didn't recognize. Now secondly is the political opportunist. On social media, certain actors use the refugee threat to gain popularity or spread misinformation, shifting the public focus away from other domestic issues. Now who is disadvantaged? First of all, it's the Rohingya, obviously. They are the ultimate powerless actor, trapped in a stateless limbo with no legal protection. Secondly is the local Acehnese in Indonesia. This is the part most people miss. The locals are the stakeholders who are disadvantaged because they are forced to carry the humanitarian and economic burden that should be handled by international diplomacy. When the government lacks a clear policy, the local community pays the price in social friction. Now the outcome and conclusion. The outcome isn't just a migration issue, it's a power paradox. Indonesia has the power to save lives, but lacks the legal power due to the 1951 convention to provide a permanent solution. Meanwhile, international organizations like UNHCR have the moral power but zero land power to host anyone. In the end, as long as power is used to exclude rather than integrate, we are not solving a crisis. We are just managing the fallout. The refugees are looking for a home. The locals are looking for stability. And the world is looking the other way. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.